Ed Higgins here. Welcome to another episode of Ed Higgins here. I am your host, Ed Higgins. I have a special guest. You love him if you know him. If you don't, you will. Craig Smith is an entrepreneur, philosopher, and outdoorsman, and an advocate for the earth. His work melds these four facets of himself into a business career that aligns with his personal path, which in turn helps others do the same. We are having some crazy difficulties tonight with signal, so we're going to try to get Craig into this call. Here he is, and let's see if we can get him in. It's amazing how this works. Craig!
Oh. What's up?
Check it out, right? So I'm on my other profile. The signal is perfect. And it's on the same phone, right. Same internet connection.
Yeah, they don't want us talking.
No. Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. But I just take that as a conversation just needed to happen now. We need to get all that out of the way.
That's right. All the energy messes with the airwaves, you know.
There was a huge, you should have seen, it was all pixelated up top. It was really bad.
Yeah.
They thought they were going to hold us down.
Can't hold us down.
Can't hold us down, man. So,
yeah.
What's going on, Craig? How you doing?
Good. Doing good. Thanks, Ed. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no worries.
Great day.
Thanks for coming on.
Great day.
It looks beautiful out there. I can see that. Yeah. I mean, for those who don't know you, you're one of my favorite humans. We have great, deep discussions. Long discussions. You've kept me centered. Tell the folks at home a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your business.
Yeah, sure. And we just went over that. We just started on that in the last feed. So if anyone caught up from that, Ed was saying, you know, where does spirituality and business meet? And that's a good question. But, you know, I think that everyone is trying to align themselves with themselves, right? With their life. Like, how do I live in today's society, in contemporary society, and still, you know, like be a real person, you know, because mainstream society, you know, Americana, it just is like so far away from that. But I want to throw the optimistic thing in there, right? So whatever we say, right? So that's one of those things. That's one of those things about, you know, to like really cognitively understanding, you know, natural laws and balance and that kind of thing. And then our words are only here during the time we're saying them. So, you know, one of the things that you and I, Ed, have talked about while I'm digressing here is that people looking for that silver bullet and people looking for, you know, those words or those phrases or that person or that thing that's going to do it.
Right.
And it ain't. It's just like a accumulation, you know, it's like, and it's like watching paint dry. Anything that happens, we're not going to like see it. It's not going to be, nothing is like that. Some people say like nothing ever happens, you know, so to keep the optimism, but yeah, you know, for most people, the generalization is to say that mainstream society is not very conducive to healthy human development.
Which is true.
So
I mean, it doesn't. The way the system is set up, and it's not like this big machine in somebody's basement. It's a whole bunch of rules and laws that are not laws of nature, that are not laws of the earth. They're man-made.
Right off the bat.
Right. And so
right off.
Well, and so your laws are going to not mesh with the laws of nature, and you're going to have that backlash. And I think we're seeing that now.
With anything at all.
Yeah.
And that's what people are starting to see more and more. It's starting to be like more apparent. I think, and again, you know, it's one of those things we have to think about, like the human path, the human experience, human evolution is like, okay, well now, you know, so many people, how do we get our mind around something that's like, that could seem unfathomable. It's like the things are so wrong. It's like, how do you get a grasp on that? And I mean, to answer that, it's like paying attention for years and years and years and years to be able to speak to the level of backwardsness. It's like we're saying things that on logically we shouldn't be saying. So, but that's just the logical, and that's just the empirical data. That's the linear mindset. So, again, talking about optimism, that's where we have to, I'll say it, disengage from linear mindset.
I was gonna say, yeah, go ahead.
And let that, as we have to cognitively keep space for other things to happen, like things that we don't know, right? See linear mindset. We can't know everything ahead of time. Why play the game, But that's a perpetuated delusion in today's society. Not knowing, and I mean, it's just such a big bluster for years and years and years and years. So yeah, it's like you really got to pay attention. You really got to follow your instincts. You have to, you have to keep that spot open for things other than empirical data. Empirical data is never going to catch up to, emotional intelligence. It can't, because science is proving to the best of their ability things that have already happened. So like, if you're waiting for science, it's like things are here, but people are growing exponentially, and things are happening exponentially.
Right.
The more we grow from, I don't want to use a math example because I'm not that good at math, but it's like first your addition, then your times tables, then your quantum physics, whatever, all that other stuff.
That's a big leap, but I got you. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
But you said it best. What you mean is science is just waiting for, or I'm sorry, the Earth is just waiting for science to catch up. Like the Earth already has its magic.
That right, and even that, it's like we can't do that. We can't wait for science to prove everything, or we're
Oh, we
shot.
We talked the other day, and I was baffled that humans have just figured out how to talk to spiders. And what I mean by that, for those of you who don't know at home, is scientists trained they trained a spider to jump. But really what they did is they figured out how to speak a spider's language. So the spider responded to certain actions. The spiders always communicate with each other. The Earth always communicates with the animals. The animals already communicate with the insects. Everybody communicates except for us. We're just trying to figure it out now, how to communicate with all these different things. Or maybe at one time we did know, and there are some people on the planet that do know, that have that ancient education that most of us have just lost.
I definitely agree with that. And I would also respectfully submit that they probably didn't talk to the spider. They probably bothered the spider so damn much the spider finally said, fine,
let's do this.
I'll do it. You just want me to jump? Fine, I'll jump. Will you go away? Oh, yeah, we'll go away. And then the spider jumped, and they were still there bugging him for more shit. And it's like, dude, you said you'd go. No.
Right on.
So it's probably not so much as had like a reciprocal conversation as forced it to do something.
Right.
Because that's, again, Americana, which doesn't work with natural development either. I'll speak to that for a second, because if you're forcing something to do, it can't want to do that at the same place. What we want, we need to want personal development, first of all, which is, first of all, the Earth, and the well-being of everything, and to like grasp all that. One of the things I say is, it's like developing sustainable philosophy, all kinds of stuff, building a healthy mental habitat, philosophy development specialist. but like to build a philosophy, to build a sustainable philosophy that allows us to align Earth, like everything outside ourselves first, that's like one of those natural laws that, like, again, cognitively, I think a lot of people are so have been so deluged with the empirical data that the logic is kind of like, oh, I don't want anything to do with that, and people are looking for spiritual, but it's all connected, and it's like, do you have to have some cognitive understanding of natural laws, balance, that kind of thing, again, to say when we're having these conversations, yes, the opposite's true at the same time. That's a natural law. Our words are only so good. They're just placeholders for ideas. They're placeholders. We have to understand the limitation, and sometimes we'll be able to use them really effectively, and sometimes we won't. But that's some cognitively understanding natural laws, natural process, human development. There's people are looking for like this big woo woo spiritual thing, and it's I my opinion is that there's a lot of cognitive things that are getting overlooked, and that's kind of what I try and do. I try to draw like natural parallels. 7th grade science, I've been in fisheries, forestry, wildlife management, and like if we go back to 7th grade science and nature, what they call nature science, natural biology, then that empirical data is even finally caught up to that,
Right.
and we can say yes, everything's connected.
Right.
So. Yeah.
Well, we had some discussions around trade, economy, money, and what our system can sustain and what our system can't sustain now. Why don't we talk a little bit about that?
Well, for me, and so like the other benefits of business is another one of my things, if you will.
Okay.
And another thing that I think that mainstream society is just deluged the common person with, and where business has is giving a lot of people real bad taste in their mouth.
Right.
So okay, well, what are we going to do with that? We have to develop, first of all, we have to develop a mindset that allows us a positive result. Because if we just say business sucks, that really doesn't do anything. Same with if we say this person's an asshole or this entity sucks.
Right. Business is not going
Well,
away.
I mean, technically, what does that do? That doesn't leave us. It shoots ourselves in the foot. We're not going to change that. I mean, the whole thing. Why? And I know why you're here. We got to create some change. We, you, me, everyone, our species needs to make change. So to make change, we have to develop a healthy philosophy. Okay. So to take that into business, first of all, let's say that, well, one thing is that, business, the other benefits of business, I say, are integral parts of our species development. Okay. And people have been doing, business in the form of trade for way longer than, this over commoditization era.
Right.
Industrial era. People have been trading forever. So the other benefits of business, I say, are communication, huge. It's like, we're doing business right now. We're trading ideas. I'll get into the trade thing in a second, but communication, teamwork, leadership, process development, and bridging of cultures. So it's a good example of don't throw the baby out. Looks like I have some other stuff going on here, but
No worries.
Yeah, so like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater in the business thing. Communication, teamwork, leadership, process development, bridging of cultures. We want those things. We need those things. Also, the businesses that are in place right now, they're all human run. There's not like a business that's just this floating entity, contrary to some laws.
Skynet.
No, a business is not a person. People are business.
Right.
So change the people. If people grow a certain amount, then the businesses change. So we focus on, focus on people. So anyway, that's it. That said, business, I think, is a key to making some really big change. And in fact, it is, these big businesses with a conscience, things that, are triple bottom line centric, to just draw that big brushstroke there. That's one thing. And then with ourselves for personal development, it's an important thing. I mean, there's autonomy, entrepreneurship, creating value, and then again, that trade. It gives us to trade, even small entrepreneurship, even, if you're a plumber, you still, you have autonomy for one, so you're less part of the cost.
Right.
Not everyone has to work. Entrepreneurship's not for everybody. Not everyone wants to run their own business, I guarantee. But even by knowing a little bit about it, you can create more value for yourself. You can understand how things work, and understanding how things work is part of it. Make yourself more valuable, get more out of life. So business, trade, and I say, depending on who I'm talking to, traditional or tribal, which basically all that means, traditional people know, got it, no problem. But mainstream, if we say, pre-commoditization era, so like take ourselves back. If our species been alive for 200,000 years plus minus the Homo sapien, we've been trading for a lot longer than this last 1,000 years. So it's kind of a clue to get the more sustainable mindset. All right. Trade, TRADE. All right. The first one, traditional or tribal, big picture, sustainable. The next ones are easy. The next one is reciprocal. So, it's whatever it is, it's reciprocal, and it starts with trading energy. Okay. Right. So we can do this when we're talking to someone, and you and I, you're great to talk to, by the way. When you're engaged with someone, you have this reciprocal dialogue, right. And you're like, okay, does this person want to talk? Have I talked too much already? Whatever. It's this reciprocal thing. Authentic, of course, that needs to be there, mm-hmm. Right? Otherwise, we're spinning our wheels if we're talking to someone who's just,
Yeah, you can tell. You can tell when somebody's not authentic right away.
Right. Yeah. Right. Traditional, reciprocal, authentic, directional. So what's what's the goal? Okay. We've got a goal. We're not just talking about, this person did something, yesterday and it was cool or whatever, it's like, what's our direction? It's, make change, empower people, all the stuff, everything. Okay. Got to have a direction. In business, it would be to, what's our target market? What's our competitive analysis? What's our distribution channel? What are all these things? And then the empowering. Is this empowering? Do we feel good? Are we making something happen here? So that's where I say business is actually trade. And it's a traditional, reciprocal, authentic, directional, and empowering. So if you hold that up just when you're talking to people, you'll see who you want to be doing business with. And all those things need to fit, right? So business is creating value. Business is not about making money. Any mainstream business publications that you read, I'm going to point to Success Magazine. I'm not being paid for them, but they're awesome. They're very triple bottom line centric.
Success Magazine
on there. Success Magazine.
Okay.
Got to give it to them, seriously.
I like Ask Gary V, and I'm not paid by them either, but I like Ask Gary V or Gary Vaynerchuk on YouTube or Facebook. So check him out.
Okay. Yeah. Well, sharing all these, all these people that are, saying these, that have these, good ideas about sustainable business, is important, and we want to support those people. We want to support those entities that have, half a soul, half a conscience.
Right.
But it's about creating value, right? So, and then here's something I'm going to say about business to differentiate between business and warfare. Business is about creating value and receiving fair compensation for that value. Okay, end of story. So you got to look at those words in that way. If someone's or something is taking value without giving fair compensation, then they're just using the word business as a guise to carry on their pillaging.
Right.
So someone can't hold up that dollar and say, "Oh, we've got jobs, we've got money." It's here, and they're going like that. It's just that saying. It's the opposite of in business they say, "Yeah, you're holding up a penny, so you can't see a dollar out here."
Right. And I've had people tell
Or
me that I need to be following, or we need to be following, or anybody in business needs to be following Sun Tzu's Art of War or the 48 Laws of Power. And those laws of power or the art of war is for warfare. It's not for business.
there you go.
And it doesn't equate. Like you can, okay, so
It does.
if you want to be
It
in
is.
the corporate environment as it is right now, you will learn to be a really good snake. If you want to be a really good snake, you can climb up those ladders, but you're going to implode inside. You will die early. Your hair will go white. You won't live a fruitful life. You may get some momentary gain, but you're also killing the earth. You're killing the people around you. You're killing your environment. You're just not opening your eyes to it.
Well, depending on the business, of course.
Right. But
Yeah.
I mean, as far as
and
those
that's
like
a problem.
cutthroat,
And even in good businesses, corporate burnout's a problem. Even in triple bottom line centric businesses that understand the human component, it's still a problem. And I think that where we are now, to be frank, the thing is that it's still like not hunt gather. It's still not sustainable.
right.
This whole delusional system is like built on, yeah, trade's good, but like if you grow that exponentially off here into left field without putting the environment first, I don't know, or there, interesting thing to talk about maybe on another time, but sometimes there's going to be businesses that really, have the environment first and are sustainable, using sustainable products that, are going to grow. And I'm sure we'd see a lot of lessening of the corporate burnout. But I mean, those are things that as our society, our species grows, those are things that like we're at right now.
Right.
And we need to head that way with some of these ideas, and there's no way to like jot it all down and armchair quarterback the whole thing, but that's kind of being fluid and again disengaging from linear mindset to have that fluidity. Some like cognitive understanding of natural laws, our species, the planet, that kind of thing, as we go. It's not about being right. It's not about being able to, right comes as we go, and that's one of those things. So, well, when's science going to prove what I just said? I don't know. I'm going to wait for it.
I'm not going to wait. I'm going to try it, test it, see what happens. That's the way
like
I
science
go.
is not going to science is not going to prove the thing. Science is not going to prove the things that we need to go forward.
Right.
Science is not going to prove that developing a healthy mindset or whatever, or all that stuff. Whatever that guy says. Science isn't going to. There's not going to be enough empirical data, and if someone's looking for empirical data, that's not going to work.
Yeah, I personally don't look for empirical data myself, but I will use scientific studies to
Oh yeah.
prove what I already knew. I'll be
Yeah.
like, see, guys,
That's
I was talking about
I'm not
this.
discounting it at all.
Right.
I love it, and science and natural science and geology and all that. It's great, but it's another tool.
Right.
We have to understand its limitations. People can't be looking for that silver bullet in science. People want to argue data. It's like, man.
What I found myself doing lately is is I spent a lot of time in the last couple of years looking at the past and what we did wrong, and pointing fingers. And really, I got to a day where I just realized that it's not helping anything. It's not. I'm not helping myself. I'm definitely not helping the world by talking about all the shit that we did wrong in the past. What I'm focusing on is today and what we can do with that knowledge to move forward in the future. Because I know what we did in the past was wrong. I know there's 1,800 Superfund sites. I know that that causes cancer. I know that those were created by these big
Yeah,
businesses that moved
yeah,
overseas after they got a lot of money from us and didn't care about the people. I know all that. What I can
yeah,
do with that is I can say any business that I create, any business that I do, anything that I ingest or that I purchase, I will make a decision based on what I know about that company, that process, or how it affects the earth. That's what I can do to in
yeah.
order to affect my immediate
And
surroundings,
we
and
can talk
hopefully,
about that.
right, and hopefully
And
the more
everyone can
people
spread
around
that
us.
information.
Right,
And so we have things like boycott Nestle.
right,
Yes.
yeah.
Of course, what do they don't make anything that I use anyway
Well,
because I don't do that
unfortunately,
shit.
I
But
buy water every once in a while, and I do it by accident.
yeah,
But I was just talking to Mindy Mesmer, who's
mm,
a representative in New Hampshire, and she actually whistle blew in the CDC because there was a cancer cluster where there was a Superfund site near where she lived, and a whole bunch of kids were getting cancer, and they weren't going to tell anybody. But what she was
person thing.
talking about was the different tastes of water, the different types of waters, and how the EPA, that the FDA or the FDA um, regulates water, but the EPA and other agencies regulate bottled water. So that there's less regulation in the water we drink, and I'm sorry, in bottled water
Uh,
than there is in our
yeah,
faucets. And I told her, I said, listen, I know because I drink certain waters. As a human, you inherently know things. We have DNA, we have things written on our
yeah,
DNA that have been built upon by generations and
yep,
generations. We know certain things inherently. Whether we want
yep,
to listen to it or not is another thing.
yep.
I know
Big key.
when I drink certain waters, when I drink different waters, they taste differently. And I can tell that there's something different, wrong or better, but I can tell when I'm drinking a glass of water and it's clean and crisp and it has the minerals it's supposed
Yeah,
to, and I feel better drinking that water
yeah.
than
Oh yeah,
something in a bottle and I'm like, wow, like I just drank water, but I didn't want it. It didn't feel good.
yeah, yeah. Like they cleaned out all the natural stuff in it,
Well, that's what they did,
all
right?
good
And
stuff.
even in when I went to Iowa, there was so much environmental runoff from the farmers that the water tasted like pool water. It literally had that
Yeah.
much chlorine that it tasted like pool
I've
water.
tasted water that had chlorine and like that. That's nasty.
It's absolutely nasty. And you're like, wait a minute, I wouldn't drink this out of the pool. Why am I drinking it now? But they have to.
Seriously,
That's what they have to do.
there's that
That's
thing.
not sustainable. It doesn't work. And science can tell me all it wants that it's healthy for
Right,
me or that I can
right,
drink
right,
it,
right. See, that's the other side of that
but
story.
I know.
Yeah.
And
And
how
then 3 years later, science going to go, oh, well, no. And the world was flat. Now it's not. And now
Yeah, it
this and
just came
now
out
that. And
today.
it's like,
The Antarctic is melting 3 times faster than we thought. Oh, whoa. What came out a couple months ago? The head of the EPA in
yeah,
Antarctica was
yeah,
lying
exactly.
about
That's
the
a huge,
data.
yeah, that's a huge one. It's like we can't trust other people. We have to trust ourselves.
Yeah.
We have to be able to build and trust ourselves and like common logic, like not fuck up the earth. You know what? I mean, seriously, that's one of those things that we were talking about at the beginning of this, that everything's so backwards. Why is that a conversation?
Right.
You know, so we have to be going forward. We have
I
to talk
saw,
about optimism, you know, because and obviously a lot of people struggle with that. It's like, oh, there's this, and this, which that, you know, that's a whole nother optimism thing. Is it's skill building. You know, you have to want to be optimistic, and you have to look for ways to be optimistic, and you have to find those things in your head that are going to allow you to view the situation. I mean, you have to allow that, and if you just take in all the shit, well, that's like only the first part of the circle. That's identifying the problem. Oh, okay. So how many people are just identifying problems without the next step is what?
Solutions.
Come on, everybody.
Solutions. Solving it.
Solve it, right? Right. So that's being human. Solve it. Solve it.
Yeah. Oh, got a notification again.
Are we back? Are we back again?
Yeah, it's a notification.
Okay.
So it happens. Good.
I was yelling at it. Solve it. Solve it.
Well, so moving forward, I saw a dragonfly today, and it surprised me because I haven't seen a dragonfly in a long time. And it was nice, and it felt good. And I was like, okay, well, I haven't seen this in a while. I'm glad, I'm not happy that the bugs aren't around, but I'm happy that this dragonfly came back. And I thought about
dragonfly big. We can talk about that.
There's but you can look out in every neighborhood and look around and just say, where are the animals? Where's the four-leggeds? I'm not talking about the dogs or the cats. I'm talking about the animals that were there for millions of years before.
Seriously, can you even imagine?
And people are so accustomed to the cities and the situational bias of the cities that they don't. It's like it's sensory bias. They don't think about it. They don't stop and think. Wow, there used to be bears here. There used to be wolves here. There was other animals here because that's how we ate.
For how much longer? Yeah. So that's a good one to draw some perspective. Is like we all grow up. Not all of us, but common Americana is that people grow till they're like 13, 15, 18, 20s before they like get that self-awareness.
Right.
Well, in between that time, everyone just picked up what's around them and it's like, oh, guess what? We're going this way, and I've already done all my high school, and everyone's like, oh, be a doctor or a lawyer. It's like, what? We're all going to be doctors and lawyers? Who's gonna, do whatever else?
Yeah, who's gonna I was shoveling mulch earlier. Who's gonna do that, right? Like there's things. Not everybody can be a doctor.
There's all kinds of things, but so that's one part of the individual. But as the human perspective, again, humans have been around for 200,000+ years. So what you're talking about is that genetic memory, but we've only that for the last 150-ish. I mean, that's like a small part, and I want to kind of touch on the optimism again, but to understand that we have all these, underlying things, like we know this is just a little part that's been buried,
right?
But to cognitively understand, and that's like maybe faith or something, to have that, or, right, wrong, or otherwise, but to say that we know that we have the capability, we know that we are sustainable, and it's not just that let's not take our lifespan, and hold it up for everything else, and I think that that's like good use of logic to create optimism.
It is, and that's what we need, and that's one of the conversations we had, because I had originally imagined Activate Now as a vehicle to shape reality, to get people up and more concerned about the world around them. And it ended up being, for the last 6-7 months, whatever, a fear porn. It was a fear porn site. It was all about everything that's going bad with the world, and it became really like pessimistic, like really like this is all happening. Do something about it.
Everyone just gets stuck on that first part. Oh, problem. It's like, oh, you're a professional problem identifier.
Yeah. That's
work
Well,
there, you know,
unfortunately, that was
unless
like
you're
the
not getting as much per problem. Depends
right,
on what the per problem rate is, you know, if it's like real low,
right. And so
but you got to take the next step.
we are taking the next step now. We're going back to inspiring and educating with solutions, and I'm
Yeah,
pretty excited about that because we have to. I was getting to the
absolutely.
point where I just sit around and I go, Jesus Christ, what is going on with the world?
Yeah.
But I was just sitting around.
Here's the circle. They're going,
Yeah.
problem back, problem back. No,
And there's a
push
lot
through
of
the
good people
problem,
doing
find the solution,
right.
find another problem, find the solution. The circle, the circle, the circle.
There is a lot of good people doing a lot of good work out there, but they've taken the time to have self-care. They've taken the time to
Yeah.
solidify their base, to make sure their family's
Yep.
okay. And then they've
Yep.
gone on and do work, but they also know the circle. They know to come back,
Yep.
recharge, ground themselves, and then come back. I didn't hear until I was
Yeah.
38 years old. I had never heard anything about holding space, or be
Right.
kind to yourself, or self care. I was a known workaholic, constantly working. My brain is always moving 100 miles an hour, and I am just constantly wanting to do something. And it's interesting to just sit sometimes
Yeah.
and just take
And I
that
mean,
break.
that's a good thing. In nature, we would be technically working, you know, although
Right, right. We'd be working, but then also,
work for like involuntary servitude versus the energy output. Because to have that energy output is natural. You know, to have that high energy output is real and natural, but it just gets, you know, misaligned in contemporary society. But yeah, it especially if we're in a high stress, you know, life, which most of us are. Yeah, we got to take care of ourselves. So shit, man. I sit out here. I like my whole existence is like I'm just like on like this little bit of wildlife that's like tucked into the, you know, just real close to the metropolitan area, you know, and it's not a big metropolitan area, you know, but I mean literally I'm like 15 minutes from a Home Depot. I mean, what else is there? Depot,
I
right?
would have never thought that.
Home Depot. Yeah, Home Depot and Whole Foods,
Yeah.
you know, but Pacific Northwest it's good, but you know, I mean, out here there's, you know, there's deer and a bear comes through every so often, not, but yeah, man, that's aligning ourselves, you know. So I go do my thing in town, I come back here, recharge, and I mean, there's of course many levels of that. That's obviously optimum level that I've strived for my whole life, and I'm probably not as flexible as some people. Like I've had to do these things. I've had to take care of myself, and myself just won't work at all.
Well, and you've learned to
You know?
focus on things that make you healthy.
Yeah, and then to understand that, wow, like I have to do this stuff, you know, to survive. Just a matter of survival. And then to take that and go, oh wow, I can be intentional about this and, you know, really start to align my life in a way that's conducive to personal development, to growth, to giving back. You know, that give back factor is uh, is another huge one that people are missing.
Okay.
Linear mindset, scarcity mindset, bank account mindset, where I got to gather, and just give a little here and give a little there. Not
Yeah.
natural.
Right.
Not a natural process.
Well, there was somebody that told me the other day that back in the warrior days, when you would gather up a meal, if you had anything left over, you would go find somebody else to give it to. You would bring people
Yeah.
to you and you would say, "Hey, let's eat together." There was no keeping it for later
Right.
or eating too much.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yep.
really
All
need to get
that
back
stuff.
to that.
You need to look at that. There's
Well,
so many lessons around, but people need to know them and implement them.
and we could talk about the supply and demand, which, I mean, a lot of people are saying, let's get off oil, let's get off oil, let's get off oil. but then they have computers and phones and cars and this and that. There's a supply and demand that needs to be met.
Well, here's the thing, though, is if we start going that way, people say, oh, well, we're going to do? Stop oil. Yeah, stop right now. Okay, translate. Dude, ain't nothing going to fucking happen right now. If we stop right now, by the time that actually happens, we'd have the other shit in place. I don't know who's another perpetuated delusion, There's like no shortage. There's no shortage of perpetuated delusions. But yeah, stop oil. Stop right now. And anyway, that whole thing, not in line with nature. That's not a natural response. A natural response to a life and death threat is to stop. It's not to stop soon, and I think that's one of our species' big challenge. And who has the
We may have lost him, folks. If that's the case. Oh, there you are. Right on.
Here we are. Yeah. But that getting off fossil fuels had
Well, I think eventually it'll come as technology. I think eventually it'll come as technology gets better. But right now, everything we own, use, whatever, military, whatever, it's all oil. It's all run by oil. It's all using oil.
True. But if that was gone, how fast do you think that sustainable would step up? Do you think some of that stuff would come out of the closet? See, that's the thing. It's like if you don't have something, it's like you don't have it,
Yeah,
And if it's
then
like
you would problem solve to get it.
Yeah, yeah. And if all the money that was put into prolonging, this, oil extraction process, if that, like what percentage of that could these businesses really put into, green?
Right.
But they're focused on money. They're
Right.
not focused on the environment, which is, there we go again. We're back to that. So changing people's mentalities. And plus, the government prints that money anyway.
We are
I mean,
monetarily sovereign.
that whole thing's a big that's a backward circle.
Yep.
It's like, that's why it's important to understand value in terms of, food, water, creative conversation, dried salmon, and not, and trade is that, yeah, we can trade for money because money, I'm not saying anything bad about money. Money is very portable. It's very tradable. It facilitates exchange really well.
Right.
But we can't blame our problems on inanimate objects, and inanimate objects aren't going to fix our problems.
Right. It's us.
Money, it's not this big grandiose thing. It's another tool. If our species was responsible enough, we could have guns, drugs, and money, and it wouldn't be a problem. Why? Because we'd be responsible enough. We'd be mature enough. We need to get to that point. And again, people say, "Oh, money's the problem. This is the problem. This is the problem."
No, we're the problem. Right here,
Yeah.
right here.
And there it is. That one of those problems is trying to find that silver bullet. It's like, cognitively, if you're looking for an answer, stop. Don't do it. Just accumulate data and accumulate information, knowledge, live, breathe, and what happens will happen. It'll start making sense. But people trying to find that silver bullet, stuck. Looking for like an answer. If you think you know something, you're not letting in any other information.
Right.
Stuck. Closed door. We don't want closed doors.
The smartest people on the planet understand they know nothing.
That's Socrates, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And Einstein too. I mean, and they're mainstream accept. Yeah.
They get it because once you walk into a new problem, you got to switch your thinking to solve that problem. You're not going to
That's
know the
how, that's
answer right
how,
away.
that's Albert Einstein. You can't use the same state of mind to solve a problem that created it.
No.
So we're stuck in this, our species is never going to buy or legislate itself into the future. So if you want to talk about fixing a problem, do it without talking about money or law. Just eliminate those two things, and then you can start. But if you're talking about fixing the human problem with money and laws, not going to work. Not saying don't work with what we got. Yes, work with what we got. Just because one thing said doesn't mean it's the total opposite. There's like a big scale there. But to keep in context of this conversation, if you're trying to fix the world's problems, the big problems, they're not going to be fixed with legislation and money. Those things, they're just not. That's not it. That can't be our problem.
Well, okay, so we're talking about problems and solutions. When you see a problem in business, how do you approach that problem? And I know it's being vague
Depends on
because,
the problem.
right, so, and I'm saying I know it's being vague, but,
Fire them.
okay, so for our viewers,
kick them out, kick them to the curb.
What would you say?
That's what I do.
What would you say to our viewers if they were going to create a business? They want to create a business out the gate. What are you saying to our viewers as the first?
Call me, my biz guide.
Right on.
Because seriously, there's like a lot of stuff. What I do is I streamline all that stuff. I streamline all the college and all the business plans and all that kind of thing, and to start with one, I start my clients off with alignment, making sure that, you don't have someone trying to, bring a widget global when they, when they've just got married and have 2 kids. It's like I said, you want a divorce, you don't have that bandwidth. Make sure someone has the bandwidth for the business that they're doing. And then we start looking at then it gets into many 3-hour conversations, competitive analysis, total available market, total served market, differentiating from the competition, distribution channels, and so there's a process, branding, but and depends on the business. There's a big difference from someone starting a daycare business or or a lawn mowing service to somebody that wants to, open up a restaurant,
right,
or that wants to, bring a new widget, national or international. There's a lot of parallels. The parallels that are same, but the intricacies just jump. And when you start talking about mass marketing, mass distribution. So marketing is my specialty. Marketing, including building a brand.
okay.
That's my specialty. But all those from manufacturing and all the rest of it. Beginning entrepreneurship, combating corporate burnout, which is part of my philosophy development workshops, and then exit strategies and understanding investment from investors, securities exemptions, 504, 506 security exemptions, and how to implement investment money, because that's a strategy, that's a whole ball of wax, and the legalities, with receiving those funds. That said, I'm not an IT lawyer. Gotta throw that in there. I can hook you up with one. Yeah. So it's not just, oh, I love to do this, even though that's part of it. But then there's a lot of static processes. So, business philosophy, I say that's the glue that holds the processes together. So understanding how all the business processes work together, that's
Oh, I lost you. Craig is out there in the Pacific Northwest. His signal's not all that great sometimes. So we have had a interesting time getting him on here. There he
Hey,
is.
we did pretty good for a while.
We did pretty good for a while. Now it's they've caught on to us
Yeah,
again.
it gets caught. Yeah, they're catching up with us. We got to change locations.
Well, for the folks that are watching, we are going to do a different broadcast where we record it and then we'll get it out to the folks so they can watch it later. Because there's a lot of stuff that we want to cover here that would be best uninterrupted by signal. But you talk about the business of being human. What do you mean by that?
The business of being human is basically it's taking like business concepts. So if I'm talking to business people, I can take business concepts and say how that relates to human development.
Okay.
Um, well, I guess one example is that wow, everything. There's so many parallels, but like understanding, like target market. Who are you talking to? Okay, that's understanding your target market is the voice that you give. And you can have the same product, but you have a different voice for your investor, distributor, end user, right? So the way that we're talking right now may or may not be the way that I talk to, a group of, high school students,
Right.
or actually that might be kind of close, or a group of, grade school students,
Right.
or a group of 50 plus, 60 plus. I need to raise that a little bit. I'm gonna be 50, 70 plus
Are you in your 50s? No way.
this summer, bro. I turned 50
Wow.
this summer.
That's awesome. Good genes.
It's great.
But that's because you live healthy.
I mean, I attribute it. I have good health, knock on wood, this summer.
Mental and physical. Yeah.
I think that all has something to do with it, and
It
living
does.
outside, and get outside, and yeah, yeah. So, yeah, the business of being human is taking some of those things. And I mean, to an extent, yeah, it's reverse engineering, the business. If we're talking to people that have been brought up in contemporary world, we can actually relate we can relate natural processes to sustainability. Let's talk about sustainability. If you're in, whatever the most horrible reputation country in the world next to the US now.
U.S.
um
Oh, next to U.S.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, so one of those countries that don't
Right.
have a very track record for
Human rights or
humanity.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, let's say you're one of those people, but we have international business partially thanks to the internet. I think that's a good connecting factor. But we need to keep each other sustainable. Like I can't really like gouge you price wise because if you go under, I lost my connect. You know.
The
So
value
so right,
of
you're
business. Right.
manufacturing raw materials. If you're manufacturing raw materials over there for my widget, I need to make sure that you're viable,
Right.
you know. And so well, what's that? So there's a lot of instances in sustainability within what they call business, which is trade. You and I need to get along to make this business work.
Right.
How many business partners are there that they just deal with each other because to make the business work, but then they're over here shouting at this other country. It's like, dude, this is a small place. This is a small world. This planet needs to function as a triple bottom line centric business. The planet. Oh, and guess what? Different business have different products. So here's this continent, and here's this, and here's this. Yeah, do different stuff, but it's all together. I mean, the planet's small,
All right.
So there's the business of being human, So it's drawing parallels from business to get people this next step so they can be better business people. Someone that can receive that mindset now and goes back to their business is going to bring a whole lot to their organization.
Well, that's why I don't understand how Walmart actually does business because they treat all their suppliers like crap, and they nickel and dime them until they give them the best price possible. So I don't
Well,
understand how that business
we're
model can
growing.
survive. Yeah,
Yeah, our species is growing. We just have to say our species is growing because anything happens because people let it happen. And they let it happen because they don't know. They don't understand the
right.
repercussions. I mean, we just got, yeah, there's people that, yeah, can they be idiots too? Yeah. Can they be assholes too? Yeah. But I mean,
Oh,
ultimately,
but ultimately they
people
just
just
don't
don't
understand.
understand the
Right,
far reaching repercussions.
right.
They just don't,
I get
It,
frustrated and I call people
oh,
idiots
hell yeah.
sometimes, but it really is. It's a growth
Talk to you
process.
about it.
Not everybody
But,
understands.
right. But also, for if we see that, then guess who's by default in charge of, you know, helping solve that problem? Any problems we see, natural law, all the problems that we see, um, by default, natural law says you get solved because that's the next step. So if someone was really smart and really didn't want a lot of work, they'd stop looking for all those problems. See? So,
True. Well, you're right. I just started. Okay. And you're right. Like there's certain. Okay, so you see things in a different way than I may see things in a different way than some of our viewers might see things. And if we were to step outside of our body and just see that for a minute, we could get along a little better, and we could provide each other with a better service, a better conversation, a better energy exchange in order to make the world a better place.
yeah, and like making the world a better place, one thing, okay, talking about business again, compatible personalities and um, complementary skill sets. So if everybody has the same view, we all want this business to grow.
Right.
All right, this business for us is not hurting the planet anymore, taking care of the planet. Right? We have to have that in common goal, and for everybody has to establish that baseline that it is actually the planet. Seventh grade science.
Right. Seventh
Go
grade
back.
science.
Right, seventh grade science, baseline. Common logic. We need to establish, we want to grow up, we need to establish the biggest foundation. What's the biggest foundation? The earth. Okay, so if we have that common goal, then we're going to say, oh, well, you know what? Um, we're working on this common goal. And even though, Ed is, really more of a cat fisherman and I like to trout fish, I'm gonna look past that because we have this bigger picture, clean water, for example.
Because you need
You
clean
know,
water to have fish, whether it be
right? We all
trout
need
or
clean water to have fish.
catfish.
That was just totally off. Off the. That was unscripted. Um, but yeah, I mean, to understand if both people have the common goal, same with relationship. Like, and that goal can be pretty fluid to have a good relationship. Well, what's a good relationship? Communication, respect, or trade, right? Is it kind of, big picture, no one's getting hurt, reciprocal,
Excuse me.
authentic, directional, empowering. Empowering's a big one. If we keep those factors of trade, that traditional, reciprocal, authentic, directional, empowering, then we're energy exchange. I mean, that's kind of like, to me, that's like a big balancing factor. That's something we can hold up these five. Oh, is this doing this? Hold on, Ed. Let me get back to you. Okay, proceed. You know, so then we can, yes, absolutely. If we align ourselves, if we and having these discussions, we, what's the common denominator for everybody? you know so yeah, if people are aligned with the same goal, then obviously some of the intricate personality things are going to float to the top. Oh, let's go to Burger King. Oh, I don't eat that stuff. Okay, so we're not going to go out to dinner so much. But that's all small stuff.
All right.
you know the world can come together without agreeing on what flavor ice cream they like.
Can you, for our viewers, can you equate the natural laws to business laws and how they should interact and maybe how they don't?
Well, they have to, because everything has to fall under natural law. See, that's that business mindset where they're focused on the money, but everything has to come under natural law. I mean, we're far away from that now, but everything has to come under natural. We can do whatever we want as long as it's not hurting the environment. These are things like we're getting to that point. See, if we strive, we're getting to that point where, like, why does that need to be said? We got to be getting there, because obviously we talk to people who don't get that. And I think that everyone that's really tried to, like, understand people is like, why don't you get this? Why don't you get this? They don't get it. They don't.
Right.
It's like, and why can't we understand? Because it's not understandable. So we have to be going that way.
Well, I talked to Devin Denton last night. She's Choctaw from Oklahoma, and she
was awesome.
She was awesome, right? She graduated
Yeah.
high school at 13. She got like 4 degrees. She gets
crazy.
it. She gets the logic. She gets the facts. She's going back more degrees. She's gonna get like 18 degrees.
Oh man, that's crazy.
But she told me a story about teachers who had books for 20 years. They hadn't upgraded their books. And so you're telling me that even if we were to institute something now about the natural laws in a book, it wouldn't even make it to a classroom until 20 years from now? Yet we got internet all over the place. I'm talking to you, miles away.
That's that empirical data again. That's why that all that, Socrates, you need to put some philosophy in there. You need to teach the kids that what they're learning may not be true. May not be worth the shit. Oh no, seriously. Like everything we know, it's like we got it, like I'm pretty confident in everything I say, but I know that it might not be shit.
Right.
But like that's in my heart. You know what I mean? It's like, did people live like that? It's like that's something that you have to embrace. And yeah, it's not, this is what I say, it's no silver bullet. Growing a healthy mental habitat to take in some philosophy and understand where to apply that. Same with business philosophy, same with a business school, but like that's the thing. It's like that empirical data, that's not going to do it for us. These types of conversations, like kids need to understand, yeah, okay, time, math, back to math,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's pretty much something we can all agree on, especially those lower numbers.
Right. Right. And they teach in Common Core now, which it gets you to an answer by cheating. It doesn't teach you how to add. It just gets you to the answer quicker.
I don't even know anything about that. I haven't been to school in a long time, and
It's so silly.
But what you were saying about that, but basically what you're saying is that we can't put out enough knowledge right now to have it like catch up so someone can read it, and no one's going to be able to watch all the YouTube videos.
Right. I'm trying. I'm trying.
Yeah, almost everyone. We got to get people to like understand some of the key factors, and then people need to grow themselves. People need to be able to grow themselves.
Right.
And not rely on so much, outside, interference is what most of it is. I mean, really, people need to talk to nature first. When I'm talking to you, I'm talking through nature. I have this nature filter.
Yep.
Even though it seems like we're talking, but we got to have that foundation with nature first. I'm gonna do one quote, and I don't want to misrepresent at all.
No worries.
But
Go
it's
for it.
Henry Crow Dog.
Okay.
Look it up if you need to. Henry Crow Dog says, first, and I'm just taking one part again because I don't want to misrepresent. First, people, I can say first, the people must have a deep spiritual connection with the earth. First. And with all the logic and everything, you know, that's going to be, if our species makes it that far, empirical data is going to prove that.
True.
And if people get that, because you know what? Here's the thing. You and I trying to help each other isn't shit. You know why? Because humans aren't sustainable. And it would be best for the earth if we were all gone right now.
Well,
so
that's
when
true.
we're trying to help each other, we're trying to hurt the earth. The longer humans are sustainable, natural law.
You just blew my mind. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Natural law.
Okay, well,
I mean, we can go into some deep shit. Is murder bad? People need to get, like, if people were to disappear, that would be the best thing for the earth. So to have that altruistic mindset, to like understand, yes, that would be, we need either that to happen or for us to like pull our heads out of our ass, grow exponentially, turn some shit around, which I think we can do.
I've philosophized about this recently because it's not so much that there's too many humans on the planet, it's that we use too much. We eat up too many resources.
That's valid.
And
that's valid.
And
some of them are in the wrong places, but that's very valid.
Right. And then psychologically, we tell ourselves that we need more resources than we ever need. So we waste a lot of the resources that we have. And it's just a continuing cycle. And the more humans you have, the more humans do that. And we're not slowing down as a species. We're not evolving at all. We've stopped our evolutionary cycle because we've messed up the Earth atmosphere so much. But we have increased our population, and it's going to be 9 billion here pretty soon. We're not getting any smaller as a species, but we're eating up too many resources. So if we don't change how we conduct ourselves throughout our days, all of us, then we deserve to be extinct.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's again, there's some good logic there too. Of course, we're going to be extinct. I like to try not to be, but with the earth as first and foremost.
Right.
I'm going to try not to be, but if the earth says, no, you guys need to go.
I know personally there's a lot better dogs and cats than a lot of humans that I met. So if
they're domesticated too, bro. You got to watch out. Those things are domesticated.
If they rise up, serious. I'm
serious, man. No, you got to talk to like real wild animals. If you're talking to animals, you got that. People think, oh, I'm in touch with animals. Do your dog and cats.
Yeah.
That's. They're giving the dogs and cats are giving us bad information. You know, they're over domesticated, just like people. They're just like people. They're over domesticated.
You're so right. I just never thought of it.
They're not wild.
That's okay. Wild when animals. You are from the city, that's your first connection with any kind of animals is a dog or a cat or a bird.
I know, but
okay, you're out in the wilderness. What's the safest animal to go up and talk to, or do you even talk to animals like that?
Don't, man. Have some respect.
Okay.
Just sit there, and if they come to you, that's fine. But don't
go up. Good. But don't go looking for them.
That's pain society. Oh, animal. Yeah, dogs and cats are colonized. If you're a dog or cat, you're hella colonized. Good one. But you know what? All that shit. See, but look at all the depth. That like, there's people that think that they're in tune with nature because they have a dog or cat.
You're right, though. I know.
And so they think that, right? So that's a truth in their mind, but it's not. But it's not real. So then they're going like this. They're going, oh, my dog thinks I'm cool, so I must be on this level. It's like, no. You get out there in the woods for 3 days, get on the trail for 3 days, and all this shit disappears, man. After the third day, if you go on a backpacking trip, everyone that backpacks knows this. If you go out in the woods for 3 days by yourself, all the shit disappears. But then nature's going to say, no, you get your ass back there. and fucking help. You're not just going to hang out here and be a hippie,
That's true. Huh?
and be all peace and love and everything. Get your ass to work.
Yep.
That's what nature says. Natural law. Translate. What's nature saying? Take care of your shit.
Oh yeah, I actually went through that during the winter when I was up in the cabin. I had to go cut wood, and if I didn't cut wood, I was going to be cold.
Right?
There are things you have to do if you're going to survive in
Yep.
outside this colonized world.
Yep. And
Yeah.
that's all good stuff. But how do you feel after you cut some
Oh my
wood?
God, I felt good. I felt
Beautiful,
good
right?
being there the whole time. Yeah. I was like, all right,
Beautiful.
I've sustained myself. I'm good to go. I got the
Ah,
wood and I feel good because I've done some working out, some exercise. I've
yeah,
accomplished
totally.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caesar the dog whisperer. Caesar, same thing you're saying about the dogs. Everyone needs exercise. That's a real thing. That's a real human development thing. We have to get that exercise.
Right.
Think about everything else in nature compared to people. What's your level? Nope.
Zero.
There's your logical, you know.
I
So we've gone
know,
through a lot of logical stuff.
well, I know for a fact that I'm living the wrong life when I can use my brain a million miles an hour and I still don't burn any fat
Right?
at all.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know that I'm thinking with the wrong gut, with the wrong mind. But this is me.
I
Like
think
even when I was out at Standing Rock, I was doing media stuff, so I'd find myself going out of that area, which if I had just stayed there, I'd enjoyed myself a lot more. But I always found myself going to casinos or going into town and having to upload media. And really, was I having to do that, or was I going to find that because I wasn't still comfortable enough in my own body in that environment?
or both.
Yeah.
Because I would say, do you have to do that? Yeah, that's
Well,
it.
I'm saying I have to do
That's your
that
path. But I
because,
know it. See, but to hold those two things at the same time, yeah.
right, right.
But both are true. Both are true.
Yeah, but I wish it wasn't my
Yeah,
path at
I
that
think.
time. I wish I enjoyed it a lot more. I wish I got
Yeah,
to
but
enjoy it a lot more. I just
it's
there
like
was
when I
there was different
go to a place
roles,
like that,
right?
I stay there. Yeah,
I've never
yeah.
camped out that much in my
But
life.
really,
My life. I never cut wood. I never sat by the fire like that. I hated
oh
all
man,
that because I just nobody introduced me to it. They were just like, "Oh, let's go camping." They didn't tell me about it. I was just in my own mind, introvert, so I didn't ask. And so I went and I was like, "Oh, we cook marshmallows. Oh, this is amazing. This is camping. Oh yeah, this is dumb. I want to go back to my book." I wasn't introduced right, and that's another thing. Humans have
that
lost their
is. That's a
way.
true thing. Yep, that's a thing. I've been, I may have mentioned I've been in a lot of sport fishing stuff and done a lot of kids stuff. And one of the
Okay.
things that I see over and over, and it's a common thing, is that the kids get drug out, at all hours of the morning, and they make them fish. Remember what we were talking about earlier?
All right.
Is you can't make something happen and it want to happen in the same space.
All right.
You know, standing, personal development, how humans actually work. You know, you can't be forced. You can't be forced to do something and want it at the same time.
All right.
Out.
Yeah, my uncle did that with me with baseball. I was
Yeah,
introduced to the family,
yeah.
and he brought me out. And he's like, "We're gonna learn how to play throw a ball." And I was like, "What is this? I don't want to
Yeah.
do
You
this.
have
This
fun
is
whether you
dumb."
like.
Yeah, and we tried it for like a half hour, and then he just knew it was a lost cause. He like, whatever. Like this is crazy. They tried to bring me to Sunday school. They were like, "We're gonna introduce you to the Bible and Christianity." And I was like 13. I was like, "Listen, I read comic books. I know more worlds than this one. Like you can't. This isn't gonna work for me. Like I get what you're saying. I get the basic premise, but this is a
Right.
outdated story, and it doesn't make
Hey, if everyone
sense."
would just get the basic premise and stop,
Yeah,
might
like that's
be
fine. Like treat people as
might
you want to
not
be
be so.
treated. There are some great rules in there. There's some really horrible ones as well. So like I've seen that. I got to the end of it and I was like, what is all this fire and brimstone bullshit? People gonna die? What is this crazy
There's
stuff?
so many. I mean, we could go there, but I mean, just I, to be real, you know, it's a book. It's a good book. It's old. It's been translated. If you talk about real life and real spirituality, it's in the now. It's instincts. Your first thing is
Right.
the instincts.
Right.
All those books, that one, all the Taoism, all the everything has to point to instinct. You know.
Do you believe? So I have a theory, and I don't know if it's wrapped up in any kind of science or anything, but there's a gut instinct that I've met people who don't have it anymore. And also, I know as a society, we are putting so many chemicals in our bodies that certain bacteria are killed. And I'm wondering if the gut instinct, whether it be repetition just built onto your, what's that?
If it's actually being eliminated,
Yeah, if it's actually
like
being
on an
eliminated.
empirical data level.
Well, if the bacteria that would hold that truth, your gut bacteria, something you're born with, is actually eliminated and you don't have that instinct anymore.
You know, I mean, that's like something to think about, but I think that it's probably more fluid than that.
Okay.
I think that instinct is such a big, deep thing. I think people could pick it up again if for some reason it was damaged, and that's just like, you know, how do we know? But I remember, I'll never forget. I think I was I was probably only 15, and I was talking to this girl about instincts, and she's like, "Yeah, but people don't have those," and I was like, "Oh, oh my." Well, this relationship's not going very far.
Okay,
But
so
no,
right.
I
So
think
what do you
everyone
think?
has them. I think everyone has them. It's just that they're just got so much shit on top of them.
So
You
they don't
know,
even they
like they
can't
can't.
hear it because they're only
I don't
hearing.
think we can escape from them.
Okay.
I don't think we can escape from them. I don't think people will be alive if instincts weren't alive.
I
I
seen
think that's
some people
core.
believe some shit on the internet that I could not ever imagine. I thought I was
I mean, there's having instincts, and then there's listening to them, and then there's using them
okay.
and being aware of them.
So you
I
think you
mean,
can
again,
train
it's all
somebody?
in. What's that?
You think you can train somebody to to listen better to their instincts, to retrain them?
Somebody?
Or
You said
anybody?
anybody?
Yeah,
Like,
anybody.
yeah,
Um,
I no, not anybody, but I mean, first of all you have to like want to. You
okay.
know, it's what you know what it is. The good one from Tao. It's the you know they say in using Taoist terminology, right?
Okay.
So again, you got to understand translation and just using words for kind of placeholders for the meaning. And that is what I'm going to say. It's that the 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 master points to the moon, but the student only sees the master's finger. So it's like, you know, there's so many things that we can lead people to, but like some of these things, like, you know, it's not linear data. You know, you got to get someone's got to say it. In a lot of it, well, it's not linear data, but a lot of it I think is cognitive, and people need to embrace, you know, some cognitive things, and like starting with, you know, like the earth, and like how do you align yourself, you know, with the earth? How does someone just tuning in like check themselves, you know? And it's like, well, think about what we're thinking about, you know, and that's like a thing, you know, think about what you're thinking about from here on out till you die. And when you start talking to someone else, are you trying to help people or are you trying to help the earth? What's your goal?
Okay.
Because if you're trying to help people, again, that's like a natural law. It ain't gonna happen from there. It ain't gonna happen from helping people without helping the earth. Now, once we understand that we have to help the earth, once we truly embrace that we're helping the earth, and that the earth is in our heart, then we have to help people to help the earth.
Okay. But
So,
also, there's too many people, so some people got to go.
well, yeah, but that's a different conversation. That's a different subject.
Right.
So for people to align, I was talking about how do people align with their instincts? You know, how do people develop that? How do people align themselves, you know, with the earth? Once we're aligned with the earth, to talk about people, but to talk about people on an individual basis, you know, because we're not going to do anything about population. Realistically, we're not going to do anything about population.
Nothing you could do.
Until the population grows to a point that it agrees with that concept, right? Once the population grows to a point where the mass population can say and actually understand these problems, at a point where they can implement, you know, some solutions. You know, right now it's like everyone talks about this, but what's the solution implementation process? You know, it's like, oh yeah, there's too much overpopulation. Oh yeah, everyone agree. Okay, well, but people haven't got to the point where they can embrace, and I think it's because aren't connected to the earth enough. You know,
if we could get a alternative power source that was eco-friendly, that actually used the ecosystem, a mini ecosystem in each battery, that was technically its own universe, that would change the game right there. There's so many things that would change the game.
Let me challenge you on that, Ed.
Okay.
Because I know you can challenge.
Yeah.
Understanding the earth first, the earth doesn't give a fuck about our energy and about our cars.
You know, I'm mad. I'm mad.
Energy solution.
I'm mad that the earth does not care about my MacBook. Does not care about my iPhone. I am mad that the earth does not care about my MacBook. But I get it.
Right. People have lived for 200,000 years without all this stuff. People are, we need cars. What are we going to do without cars? Dude, that argument does not fly in the law of nature.
We walk. I like walking.
We fucking walk.
Or we have 45,000 Mustangs that we would love to ride out there at the BLM.
And we have no internet, and we have no, oh no, what if the grid goes down? Well, whatever we do to save the earth, we're still putting ourselves first. And that's what I was trying to say. This is the conversation that we need to look out for. What are we trying to do? We're trying to save ourselves. Earth doesn't want us saved.
Right.
The planet, natural law, is trying to get rid of us for good reason. And there it is exemplified, because we'd rather have our luxuries than respect all this. That's a fucked up situation.
Absolutely is. There is a lot of minerals in the devices that I have in this room right now that the earth could use. There's helium. Helium's running out. Helium is a finite resource. It's running out.
The most important thing is the mindset. That's what the earth needs. The earth needs us to adjust our attitudes
to the earth.
Take care of our. That's what the earth needs.
Okay.
Because once we all get that, you know what? You're probably going to need to use your computer till you die to fix the situation. So I won't worry about that too much. You know? I mean, but to start heading that way, you know? That's the thing, is we got to start heading that way in our hearts. We need to understand. We need to understand that stuff.
What about, okay, so for the people watching, what is one thing that you think that they could do in their lives right now that would allow them to be more in sync with the earth? Just one thing. Easy thing.
One easy thing, go outside.
Just
like
go
into
outside.
Real nature. Just go outside, into as much nature as you can get.
Do you know how many times I walk outside? There's so many times that I'll walk outside and I won't see a person. And I look around for miles, and I'm in a pretty heavily suburban area. I don't see anybody. It's not because it's hot.
They were probably avoiding you.
Whatever.
I got the FBI.
Whatever.
Probably, the other side of all those signs says, "Do not cross FBI line." Ed Higgins here.
Ed Higgins here. No, but I'm serious.
Like, oh, fuck. Okay.
What was I going to say? God damn it. There was something else I was just going to say. Um,
Go outside. One thing people can do is go outside. Go outside and then try to find a good way to look at things. Try and find a way that you can solve a problem. The first thing you have to, if you say this sucks, or if you put a label on something, like bad, if you don't want to deal with something, you have to find something that you could work with. You know you have to be able to get close to something to fix it.
true.
Can't keep our problems at arm's length.
Right on. Brother, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you tonight.
Stuff.
And
Good stuff.
I'd like to get you on soon so we can record a good conversation and send it out. Because I really think the people need this to hear this right now, whether they realize it or not. They really need to dig deep down and understand what it means to be not just a human being, but a human that is more in sync with the planet that birthed the human being.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if we
Yeah.
don't, I mean, there's consequences.
Yeah, and the thing is once you do that, then it's good. Then it's fun because you're on the right path. I mean that personal development is everything. It's engaging because we need to grow. The personal development is engaging and it hits everything. It's challenging, it's satisfying, it's relaxing, it hits everything. So, everyone's looking out here, but it's all the people need to grow. Once the people grow, then why is Trump in office? Because there's too many people that are too screwed up. If the bulk of the population, we don't need to fix the worst case scenario. We just need to fix the bulk of the population. If everybody was, embrace their earth and the, human development aspect, it works if you work it. And there's so many layers, to keep having these conversations and keep having these conversations, talk about real shit. And there's no silver bullet, right? That's what we start off with, no
Right.
silver bullet. You got to keep talking about important stuff. We got to keep showing our feelings, which I really appreciate about you, Ed, and how, open and even raw you've been. And we need to give people space to grow as humans and to understand, oh, yeah, guess what? Everyone's going through that. Everyone's gone through that. Everyone should have space to go through that, have that respect. Just because someone's having a tough part. Welcome to freaking humanity. You know, People need to respect that. And but yeah, keep the conversation going. So again, and I appreciate this platform, and what you're doing to have all these different views and people and talking about things. How are we going to create change? What are the solutions? Let's not rehash all the problems. Let's find solutions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, brother, I'm gonna let you go. Oh, you're gonna do the flute,
Okay.
huh?
Quick.
Right on. Let's do it.
Okay. I only got this is perfect too because we're almost done with our with our battery.
With our battery
Almost done with the battery.
and the Earth's battery.
I could go on for that.
Right on. Well, I got a quote that I want to tell people about. Sustainable business enhances our existence, not only through generation of commerce, but more so from the personal development aspect that is inherently linked to the ancient practice of trade. Craig Smith, thank you very much for coming out tonight.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Hey, have a good night.